All right, it's a portfolio update video. I'm going to be using some weekly candles on a lot of these charts. I think it's a very fitting occasion, not because it's Christmas, but just because, I mean, it looks like we're going to break out on the miners. It's all very much influenced by the markets and the dollar and even interest rates. So we have to take a look at those three before I delve into the individual miners, as I usually do. So starting with the DXY, you can see, first of all, on Thursday, right? This is sort of the reaction to, we had a lot of news during the week. GDP, I mean, there's quite a lot of news, but the reaction was either up or down. Let's just, be very, very basic about it. And we were kind of in this pattern where we were building sort of mini coiling towards, whether it was going to break up or break down. And I said, if it breaks up, then resistance will be this down trending line you see. And if it breaks down, then it will be this horizontal, which I think was the case. It's not 102, it's actually 101.8-ish. That's what support was. And we just held, I would say, just around 101.8 on that Thursday, but the close was so bad. It was the worst close in a long time. It was kind of obvious we are going to keep going down. And on Friday, that's what we did. The DXY broke down even more. Now we started to hit the 101.5 zone, but look, the rally was quite decent. Now, did it close above support technically? I mean, roughly, right? You don't have to be too precise about it, roughly. So it is allowed one more chance to maybe go back up here, but you can almost say the damage is done. So it depends. This is not very bearish. This is not very bearish. In fact, this day here was more bearish. This candle on a Thursday was more bearish than this one here. So I'm kind of unsure as to what's going to happen. I know that if it goes up, it's going to find resistance where it used to, around here, around there. And obviously, in case it goes even higher, this descending. And if it goes lower, then it's the old last stand zone. So this 100.8 or 101. It's actually not the 101, or just like here, it wasn't really 102, it was 101.8. So it's the same thing down here. It's not actually 100, it's actually sorry, it's not actually 101, it's 100.8. So, I don't like to be too precise sometimes, but I do actually think it counts in certain instances. So let's see what happens. I don't think this is very bearish. It's quite a decent rally, but it can actually go either way. I would actually be more inclined to say bias to the upside. But what would be good is if it goes up and then fails even before hitting the highs up here. So maybe 102, just a bit above 102, fails, rolls over. And if it rolls over again and it starts testing this zone, down we go to the old low. And you know what? It does make sense. If you zoom out, we went all the way up, rate hikes, and then actually rate pauses, actually rate cuts next year. And wait a minute, let's just redo this whole thing and actually go lower. That's probably what's going to happen. It's just you're not allowed to go up in a straight line, although this is pretty close to a straight line. But likewise, down in a straight line, you got to have your little bounces. So maybe this will be another bounce. So DXY, medium term and long term, I'm going to stay bearish. Short term, slightly bullish, maybe just for Monday. And Monday, is that a holiday? I don't even know. But the first 1 or 2 trading days from now, it might bounce, but then I think it will roll over. So that's my take on DXY. Let me look real quick at interest rates. I'm not going to bore you with interest rates, but look at this. And you know what? I'm going to start switching to the weekly now because I feel like having a bit of a weekly video. Look at this, just down, 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 down. I did think support would come in. Actually, let me go back to daily. And it did come in there. That was a small bounce, 3 days, and then down we go. Why was it bouncing there? Because it's ascending. And obviously, you draw so many trend lines, you're going to get it right regardless. But I think this one is pretty significant. It's the long-term ascending. Here we are trying to reclaim here. It's not, I do, and look at this. This candle's quite good. Best close in a long time, kind of bottoming. I do think we may actually bounce. And if we do, I think once we hit resistance, we'll go back down again, but maybe that will coincide with a bit of a dollar DXY move. So maybe we have a little 1 or 2 day, like a bounce like this, bounce and then back down again. And then we'll see maybe it gets a bit stronger down here and we can actually break out this descending and actually have a bit more of a bounce and then fail again. So maybe a small bounce in the yields. And I'm judging just on the 30-year because it's the easiest one to read. 10 years also okay, but since you go, it gets a little harder to read, I think. This one's quite good, the horizontal. But they all look like they're a bit of a support zone. They've all come down a lot for a long time. So small bounce in yields, maybe. Small bounce in the dollar. I'm not going to do all the commodities. Let's just go straight to gold. So gold still on the daily here. First of all, we closed above this 2040, 20, even 2050. You know, we did close above 2050. That's pretty significant. The only annoying thing is we went and touched all the way up here, right? And this for me was kind of obvious resistance. I call it 2070 to 2080. Looks like it's really 2070. So we touched 2070, but we came so, we closed so far down. That's because of the dollar rally. I don't know if it's because the market started to flush a little bit. I saw the miners sort of lockstep a little bit with the markets. I don't like that because the markets are all the way up there. So what if the markets come down? Are the miners going to come down with it? I really hope not, because that's what a bull market will really be confirmed for the miners. Once the miners dislocate from the markets and the markets go down and the miners go up, because but anyway, that's yet to be confirmed. The point is, gold, it was bullish again, because it was a green day, close above 2050, very important stuff. And it was a weekly candle too. I mean, it was a Friday also, but it's just we closed so far off its highs, it's not the best. Silver, let's take a look at silver real quick. Not the best. That was a red day, so you can see how weak that was. You definitely want to see silver green. So it's still a bit hesitant, and I think if the dollar and the dollar and interest rates go up next week, we may have a bit of a retracement in gold and silver. It's like you can't really confirm the breakout if that was your last candle, with the dollar down and yields not moving up. So what happens when the dollar goes up and yields go up? What's going to happen to silver? It's going to have another red day. So maybe we're going to have a bit more retracement. So silver, I don't see that doing it. Gold, it's just, maybe it's not ready. Maybe needs a couple more days, maybe just another retest of the old 2030, like go down 2030 as the DXY and the interest rates have their little 1 or 2 or 3 days up move. Just another little handle, from a couple handle. And then we go, because when you zoom out, my goodness me, are we ready? It's just maybe you need a little delay. Maybe it's next year. Maybe it's just too early before it's 2024. I don't know, but I just feel like that last price action on Friday just wasn't good enough. And it's hard to imagine, a strong continuation on the next trading day. So especially with silver red, Now, the miners, start with GDXJ. Look at that. It looks like a red candle, but it's actually a green day because, the close on Thursday was here. It was a 38, let's say 50, and then we gap open. Okay, the close was near low of day, and it's not the best candle at all. It's one of the worst candles, but well, the worst candle would have been if it carried on going and then closed below yesterday's low. So the Thursday's low, that would have been the worst, of course. I mean, could easily have been worse. It wasn't even red, but still, the miners just, you can forgive them, they're just following the metals. And GDXJ in particular is quite sensitive to silver. So let's look at GDX. Not much difference, but still, this is just like denying a breakout on this very day, but it doesn't mean the whole move is over. It's going to need another curl, another handle, I mean, look, this is close at low of day, so we're probably going to go lower. And then if DXY and the interest rates go up, then okay, we'll go probably back down here. It's like, I don't know, for gold 1930s, just venture back down 1930, find support, curl, and then if we were to retest this, we're going all the way up here. Because this will probably be gold going at 2070, closing above 2070. And when you're closing above 2070, 2080, that's it. Now we're talking about 2100, 2000 is the floor. And you can see the miners just have so much catching up to do. So look at SILJ. Now, on the daily, you can see it also. Look at, and a subscriber was asking me about this. I'm very happy he did, because this is obviously the silver miners, juniors, which is very bullish because look at this breakout. This is my favorite chart pattern to play, and I'm very good at it. I have an eye for these ones. This looks so good. Now, it's not confirmed, even on the daily, it's not confirmed. It ventured above, but it's all about the close. So it's not ready, and it makes sense. And I'm happy that it didn't break out on a day where silver's, red, and that would just be weird. And it would kind of ruin the technical indicators. But here, if we have a bit more, I would welcome this, a bit more of a reversal. Dollar goes up, interest rates go up, gold slides, silver slides a little bit for 1 or 2 or 3 days, and then we start to see a reversal and move back up. It's just going to be so primed to go, and like all the stars are aligned. And let's have DXY flush to new lows, go down to 100, and gold, silver, like 2080, 2100 on gold, this thing would just explode. All of them, GDX, GDXJ, SILJ. So the miners are ready, but you need the metals, both metals, to react well, and you need the DXY and interest rates to look weak, and they didn't look weak on Friday. So that's the background to Friday and the sort of medium and long term. Let's look at the miners, and like I said, I'm gonna stick to the weekly time frame. I'm gonna try and do this a little quicker than I usually do. So here we go. Newmont. Obviously, we know what given what I just covered on Friday, and just a quick daily recap. Look at that, another one, just a bit like SILJ, even though this is more of a gold senior, whereas SILJ is a silver junior. You do have a lot of these miners that have this same sort of chart. Some of them a little different, of course, but descending breakout. Look at that. It's waiting, just like SILJ. Nah, not yet. You're not allowed. Not all the stars are aligned, but still up 1.5%. That's very nice to see. That's a very good day for Newmont. And actually, my portfolio overall was quite good. It's been quite good, actually. And there are some you can't see here. But, another one of those candidates where I expect a bit of a reversal, a curl, and a move back up if the DXY, the dollar and interest rates go up for a few days. That's what I expect. A bit of a drop and a move back up. The one thing that I haven't mentioned is how much will markets affect the miners. It's kind of out of my hands, but I do feel like the market's going to go down a little bit more. Okay, now back to the weekly. Now stay with the weekly. You can see the same thing, right? The descending, we're there. Look, it's the first time on a weekly basis we've closed above this sort of 41 zone significantly, so just break out and keep going. And once we have a breakout here, I really, especially gold's, 2100, this thing easily goes to the 50s, mid 50s, and then sideways and then up. I want my 100% in like 4 months in Newmont, no problem. Barrick Gold, I don't know what this trend line is. Another one just like Newmont, it's closed above this horizontal first time in a long time. Okay, it's descending, it's far from that, but that's fine. That's good, actually. Less resistance on the way up. Let's just wait for everything else to move up, and we've got a clear shot at 20. Clear shot at 20. If I switch the daily, oops, it's the same sort of pattern. No, I'm very happy with the weekly. I'll stick to the weekly. All right. And if you notice how I'm not even covering the downside, that's a bad sign, isn't it? Downside really is this ascending, very clear. On Newmont, by the way, downside, not obvious. Probably the lows from down here, 38, around 38, let's say. Agnico-Eagle, look at that. Again, nice close, best weekly close in a long time. Like the others, took out this horizontal. Also got its own descending to battle through, not yet closing outside of this descending, which is good. I'd prefer if it did it with all the stars aligning. So that also is waiting for a good week. And once we close above this, okay, next up is the horizontal, but otherwise, yeah, 68, 66 after that. It's all these major horizontals. And you know what? I will start to place the others because I feel like we will get there quite quickly. That one's quite clear. Support on here, resistance. There you go. And ascending once again would be support. Pan American Silver, look at that. Look at this zone here. This little 17 popped its head above, didn't close above 17. It was outperforming on quite a few days, actually. It's quite good. I mean, look, silver was down, right? Look at that, up almost 2%. I like that. So some of these miners are making up for lost ground and outperforming. So that's good to see. Next stop is really obviously closing above 17 and then closing above its own descending, which would lead to a massive squeeze, I think. Not a quick one, but just a very significant technical breakout. I think if we were to close above 18, I mean, 20 would be amazing. 20 would be like all technical levels cleared, nothing until 30. And that's a 50% move, isn't it? Look at that. You take this out. I mean, these two trend lines coincide at the same time, I think. So let's imagine we have a very good week next week and we're closing above 1850. It's like we hit 20, go sideways, and then as soon as you're above 20, there's nothing until 30. Obviously, there'll be little zones, and you'll have GDX and gold hitting its own resistance, and this will have to meet, fall in line. I mean, if GDX is down 3%, you can expect all miners to be down, but basically nothing from 20 to 30, and then from 30 to 40, it's really 10 unit increments. So this is very important what happens here. It's already starting to show a lot of strength. We've just need that close above 17. But so far, I mean, look at this candle. It's one of the best ones we've had in a long time. So Pan America is very close to doing it. Oh, support for Pan America. Honestly, I haven't thought about it. I love it as a stock, so I think I'd buy it anyway. But I think ascending would be the best one. Let's just draw something like that. That's not very accurate, but you get my point. So imagine it came down. There was a big reversal. Like I said, 2 or 3 days of dollar interest rates going up, probably around here, 1540-ish. Because it would take a few days. And if it went any lower, 15 to 1540, I think it's a buy. I mean, it's a buy right where it is, to be honest, long term. But yeah, 15, mid 15s. Wheaton, I have started to sell into this one. I've got 1/3 left. And you know what? I started to regret it because royalty companies have just sort of had a bit of a moment of clarity. I feel like what I should hold for this next run, and this run I see gold going to 2,500 and then 3,000. That sounds crazy, but I really think it's possible. What would you want to hold? Obviously, you want to hold the little juniors that make it, but I don't really want to hold any juniors. I hold 3 or 4, and that's just because I didn't get a chance to sell them. But I think a liquidity event will come up. But I want to hold seniors, and you know the seniors. I just covered the 4 main ones, and then royalty companies like Wheaton, like Franco Nevada, like Metalla, and there's probably 1 or 2 others. But I want to hold seniors and royalties, and these are senior royalties, and then my little pocket rocket silvers, and then I'm good. I don't need to hold any. I want to get rid of these. I just want to have like, I don't know, 15-ish or 20 max. Very well as 15, I prefer. Very well established miners, like 4 or 5 seniors, 4 or 5 royalties, and 4 or 5 silver, medium tier silvers. That'll just make hundreds of percentage moves if the overall silver move up is correct. So, and I think Wheaton should be one of them, right? It's one of the best. So even though my excuse for getting rid of it is it doesn't have much upside, I still think it will definitely go up, and it could definitely make a lot of money. And even if the market goes down, it'll probably hold up very well. It may even go up because of the nature of the company, the fact that it's a royalty and all that. So I may actually buy this back. It's just, it doesn't matter if I was to buy now, I'm buying where I sold it. But I just had a little change in strategic thinking earlier today, actually. So I may not completely get rid of Wheaton. Anyway, back to its technical levels. So for me, 50, let me go to the daily because it's a little difficult to tell exactly where the resistance is. For me, it's, between, I have the line here, it's basically $50. I got to really move the line up again. Now it's here, actually 51, but I was selling here, I forgot exactly where, but I've got 1/3 left. Now, if we go any higher, I think 52.5 is a level because it was the old high. I also think we have ascending resistance, which is very rare in my opinion. But anyway, it still is the same thing. 52.5 is resistance. Obviously, 51 is resistance because that's the last high we made. 51, then 52.5 on the way down. It's going to be this ascending like all the others. So that'll be just, you wouldn't really want it to break below 48, but yeah, if it would, then I'd say 47-ish. Okay, Franco Nevada. This one, it was ready for this. Look at this descending breakout. No, you're not allowed because, everything's reversing. And this is, I mean, as bad a candle as it gets. Close at low of day, just that tail at the top. Did it close within the descending? Yeah. I mean, when it's that close, when it's that bad a candle, you just say, yes, it's not a breakout. So consider that within the descending. So support for me is here. We've got 109-ish, let's say, because it's the high of this candle. This candle is also the low of these 2 days, roughly. So I'd say 109, but it's very, zoomed in stuff. Otherwise, the absolute low from down here. I don't know if it'll go that low. I think this was the bottom because this whole move was a bit crazy for a big stock like this. But anyway, 109, and then I'd say 102.5 on the way down. On the way up, well, I got the old high of 114. If we take out 114, I have a feeling we're not going to care about this zone. I think we're going to go higher. And I don't know, nothing really obvious until 126. but I can imagine it stopping, 122 or something. But it's Franco Nevada, and it's a great stock to own. So this is one of the streamers I want to build a bigger position in. I already have a decent position. I bought twice on this drop, so yeah, I don't really want to buy again higher than when I recently bought, and I don't think it's going to go much lower and take out its last low. So right now I'm just holding what I've got. Don't mind holding this for big range moves. Okay, those are the seniors really taken care of. I may rearrange the order in which I do all of these. In fact, I'm going to do that now. Let me just cover Metalla, the other streamer. This one has been disappointing, and I bought this. I went quite heavy in the 330s actually. So I mean, I bought all the way down here, 280s, 290s, and then I bought 330s. So my average is probably about three. Maybe it doesn't matter where it is. The whole area is the same thing. Just zoom out. I bought here. If my plan is going to be to sell all the way up here, so a couple of cents difference is irrelevant. But otherwise, look, it's quite weak. Look, the support zone, you can see where it is, $3, big round number. It's hit it before. There was also resistance over here, so definitely credible zone, and we're quite close to closing below. And if we do, we're straight away in the gap fill zone, so it's straight back down to 290, and it could end up looking like a really bad chart. And then I'd consider adding even more to it. Maybe it depends what the sector is doing, but that is not the best looking set of candles, given what the miners have done, and given the fact that it's been destroyed already. It should be, building up a lot of energy for a pop on the upside, but it's, yeah, not the best. So if we do have a move lower in the miners, this will probably close below $3 and gap fill. And what I'd really want to see is like a quick pop back up and back to $3, and then it can start looking bullish again, but not good. So on the downside, $3 is support. I'd say 290, and after that, 270. On the way up, this descending is now irrelevant. I would just say the last high, 360, let's just say 360. I mean, it's got to clear 330, of course, and you could say 350 maybe, but really 360. Close above that, then we get to 4. Keep it simple. That's all I see. Okay, now let's look at the silver ones. So these are my silver stocks. I call them silver medium tier. Some of them are slightly senior, like I'd call First Majestic a bit of a senior silver stock, especially compared to the other ones. But anyway, I've only got 5 or 6. So first of all, this was down 1%, not the best, but look, silver was down quite a lot, so makes sense. Silver, First Majestic has been quite good. I would say it's also a total breakout candidate, and it has been acting in a bit of a breakout mode. So, and look here, we were sort of, we ventured higher than this sort of 350 zone of resistance. So that's good to see. It was also a higher low. So higher high, higher low on the day compared to the other days, not bad. If we go lower, can we hold 6? 6 is a psychological number. Also, the support we saw on these 3 candles. So I would say 6 is support. If we go lower than that, then it's going to be the low of this candle, 540. I don't see it's going that low. This is now relevant, by the way. This is now relevant. So we've back tested this breakout, this descending, haven't we? We broke out of it and back tested it. This is really good charting. I mean, it's really perfect for a squeeze, for a continuation of squeeze. So we just don't want it to start closing below 6. So 6 and then 540 on the way down, on the way up. Well, I might as well say it's this now. Let's close above 660. Yeah, $7. And then 8. This is pretty simple. And then 9. And then, yeah, just before 10. Yeah, I've got no problem with all those levels. And I think if we start to close above 660, really, we could squeeze, especially with gold and silver hitting those levels that will, that you can imagine, like gold hitting 2080, 2100, silver starting to hit 20, 26, 28, 30. My God, this could really squeeze 100% in a few weeks. So yeah, those are the levels on the way up and on the way down. Let's look at Fortuna. Let me keep the order I usually keep. Another one that ventured up high but had to close low because of what's happening to the underlying metal. and the miners, but otherwise good attitude. Down, basically unchanged, but it ventured much higher. For me, it's 405 on the way up and then 420. It was almost hitting 420. So, very bullish at a certain part of the day, but was forced back down, closed below 4, but totally understandable. Look, higher, low, higher, higher again, just like First Majestic. This one, I'd say 380. 380. Wouldn't really want to close below 390. I'd say 380 is support. Very light support. It's probably 385-ish. We close below 380, then we go back down to 350. It's a bit like First Majestic, it really is. Otherwise, on the way up, 405 is now irrelevant. I think that one's disappeared entirely. It's just 420. It's just 420. And after 420, well, then we start hitting the 460s. Wow, that's the clear one. And then not even $5. 5 doesn't matter. There's no resistance at 5. It goes straight to 550, and then etc. etc. We're in the big zone that we saw after the COVID pump. This is a huge channel, which is 100% away from where we are now, right? From 4 to 8. So I see a lot of 100% potential in some of these silver miners. This will take several weeks or months, but I can wait. So those are the levels. Looking good. Okay, let's look at EXK. From looking good to looking horrible. This one is absolutely filthy, but I'm not going to sell it here. Not with what I think is coming. I mean, this one could really pop quite a lot because it's got a lot of catching up to do. You can see a bit like many of the other ones, it's got its own descending. I would say it almost broke out of it, but it's all about the close. And look, the close is always below this descending, so it didn't break out yet. At least it wasn't red, and it would even have an excuse to be red, so that was okay to see, but we're coming from the absolute, low of the abyss, so it would hard to justify a red day too. So what we need is a close above the descending, which it could do any day on a green metals day. I'd expect it to do it. Let's just close above 210 for God's sake. And then let's see, let's test 230, close above it, and then get to the next levels. All these levels are correct. I've never had to change them, and it hasn't really moved much either. So no reason to change anything. On the downside, remember 180. If we do have the DXY and the interest rates go up, could we visit 180? Absolutely, we could. Could we close below it? Lord forbid, yes, we could. And then we start to visit these. I don't think we would. I think it's just so cheap, and I do feel like the metals are going to go back up quite soon. I don't think we would have enough time to venture all the way down here, but that really is the next level of support I can see. I mean, if I'm looking at this zone here on EXK and you're closing below 180, okay, it's probably not 180, it might be 175, but whatever, 180, maybe there's a gap for the 150, probably bounces off there. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't need to be too accurate. I don't actually think we'll get there, and I'll probably revisit this chart in more detail, if that flush is happening. But yeah, those are the levels on the way down. On the way up, let's just 230, and then let's see where we go from there. Probably going to hit this descending. That'd be good. If we close above 230, we'll probably hit the descending 270 or something. But a lot of ground to make up there, EXK. All right, now my favorite, Coeur d'Alene. Yeah, look at this, hitting the top, bouncing off the bottom. Another one of those days. So, made a new high like all the other, like the others, First Majestic, Fortuna, because it was a good day to start with. So that's good. And then went all the way down, did close down almost 3%. But you know why? Silver was down 1%. It's also been up a lot. And it's basically holding 340 on support and then 370, let's say, for resistance. So there you go. And if we do close below, call it 335, 340, then the other low of, well, it probably stop off at $3, but just below 290, 280, 290. So big range. And let's say the DXY and interest rates go up. You could see this come back down, 310, I don't know. I'm not sure. It'll probably come back down quite a lot. But I do not see it going below 280, that's for sure. If we have a surprise move up, well, I say surprise move up, I expect it to happen, just not immediately, but let's just say 1 or 2 days it's just sideways, nothing happens, and we go up and we start to close above 370. I see no problem until 424, 30-ish, this zone here. And there you go. by the time we get there, that's CDE doing 100% move already from 2 to above 4. And then it's time for the next 100% move. So CDE, it obviously depends on the metal, but those are the levels I see on the way down and on the way up in the immediate term. Right, let's look at the other one that's also not on my list, Discovery. Now, this one, a little bit illiquid sometimes, big spread on the bid and ask, but it's heating up. First of all, green day, that's nice when silver's red. Higher high, higher low, that's nice. This tail also at 65. What we need is the metal to perform, and I see no reason why this can't just do the same again, except this time close much higher and test 70. So for me, okay, immediate resistance, I guess, is 65 because it's the last two highs. You can see that there will be resistance at 65. So 65, but I'm not going to draw that line. I think we'll take it out on the first move up. So after 65, 70. After that, 77. This one I'm not sure about. Because remember, we've taken out this descending, this extremely important descending. It's been taken out. It's been retested perfectly, may I say. And I bought this, very nice. So once we take out 70, for me, that's it. The squeeze is on. Here's your bottom. You break out the descending, you retest it, and then you're back up. How do you know you're back up? Because you've actually closed above the last high. So I want to see a close above 70. And then to be honest, this can just soft because we're going to go way higher. We're going to go to 90 or $1, a magnet, a $1 magnet. I really think that'll happen, especially if gold's at 2100 and silver's starting to react with a delay. So Discovery, this one could beat CDE on the returns, you know, in the speed it will give the return. So now on the way down, not to get too excited, I see, yes, the last low, 50 cent, big round number. After that, 45, between 45 and 40. I don't see it going lower. If it does, well, we'll see what happens. 20, probably every 10 cents. I think I've gone over this before. Worst case scenario, every 10-cent increment, 30, then 20. So there you go. I'm looking forward to Discovery, especially when the silver price is up. Okay, next one is Aris Mining. That looks very nice. Wow. Yeah, so I have resistance at 340. Looks like real resistance is 345. It's the same thing, but there you go, 345. Look at that, we ventured higher than the last high. That's nice. Better close than yesterday's close, so Thursdays. That's nice. It's also got fantastic stories, so that's always good. I don't see any problem with this in the medium to long term, just going all the way up. All the way up, see you later, 44.8, $5, even up here if the market really gets crazy. So this is definitely another 100%, although it's already made a massive move. So we would have registered 100% quite soon if we keep going. Now, if the if the DXY and interest rates go up, yes, gold and silver will just come back down a little bit. And I expect this maybe to go as low as low threes, let's say 310-ish. But after that, up we go and make new highs. If we do go below through the 310 zone, then yeah, I agree with this. The last low of 290. If we go lower than that, which would be a massive drop in gold and silver, or maybe some company specific news, whatever, then I'd say the ascending. So let's say 250 by then, you know, it would take some time too. So 250, 290, 310, here 345, and then the old high from over here, doesn't really matter. There's 1 or 2 cents difference. Let's say 364. And after that, I don't see any resistance. I don't even see $4. I don't see any, you know, major activity here. It's just $4 will be resistance. Despite it being a round number. No, I see nothing until 480. So there you go. Keep it simple. Very strong though. This is one of the best ones given the Friday reversal. All right, let's look at Mag Silver. Just not good enough, is it? I keep trying to give it excuses, but this capital deserves to be elsewhere. With that said, I expect to move up, but as soon as it makes a move up now, I'm just going to dump it and get it. And just its proceeds would be far better in a different stock. It's just too slow. Anyway, first of all, support. I don't see It's quite close to the low, so I'll cover that first. Support, I mean, you could say, look at these candles here at 1040. Look at that, how many times it goes there. 1040 to 1050 is support. If that fails, $10. If that fails, 960, you know, the absolute low from down here, but there's not much difference. I mean, if you're closing below 10, I mean, you're going to visit that on the same day, if not straight away on the next day. If you lose this, then I'd see this area here, this low from down here. Imagine you're losing $10 and the low just below 10. It's here. 750 or something. I'd probably be watching GDX and the metals to really time it, but I'd be looking at 750-ish. I mean, that's horrible that we're talking about that. On the way up, it's only one thing. It's this 12, just let's call it $12. Once we close above $12, it's got this huge descending to deal with. Now, that's the one good thing. You know, if we do go back up, we'll be so close to testing this descending. So maybe you can do it also in one go or the next day, but a close above this descending, then we start hitting these horizontals I've already drawn. I mean, you're going to need gold at 2100 for this thing to react. It's just horribly slow. It was really quite good here, but then what a disappointment on the you know, the whole retracement. So, I mean, this is like gold's come all the way back down to 1800s. It's really disappointing, and I'm never going to forget it. So I'll be dumping this one. I just want to dump it on a move up. The only thing that annoys me is maybe it does, you know, 5-6% or whatever it is to finally make a move. Look at that, 13%. I can't imagine it. How much will the others have moved? So it might even be better to sell it now to put my proceeds elsewhere. Anyway, I will be getting rid of MAG, but I want to do it on a green day, more of a green day than this. So, okay, next one, Gogold, GLGDF. This one did okay, 8% on that day. That was good to see because that was another one where it was just far too low. So you can see it wanted to hit its 105, or maybe, you know, we almost closed above $1. I think 105 is mini resistance because those little, you know, those 3 days where it hit resistance around there, 105. But look, if we could just go a little higher, look at this zone here, this 114, 115 zone, a close above that, and we've got a big descending breakout. Another chart where we have a massive descending breakout. It's my favorite chart pattern to play. It always works. It always works when you're in something which is not a fraud, which has a long-term thesis going for it, and it's been severely beaten up, which basically covers the thesis of all the miners. So we just need to make that move. We just need to keep going, you know, have another 1 or 2 or 3 good days, and then basically close above 120, and then we should squeeze. Is the bottom in? Probably, you know, probably. It's a good stock, good company as far as I know, and all the charts and the underlying metals look great. So let's just have some continuation, and we should squeeze on the way down. Otherwise, the old support, you know, 90 cents, and then, yeah, 77 cents. There you go. Next one is K92. This one has done quite well. Look at this. And also another good day. Let's look at the weekly chart on this one. I prefer the daily, actually. The weekly, I think, is better for some of these seniors. Yeah, so for this one, you know, this resistance over here, this 660, but let's just use the old high, 670, let's say, right? If we close above 670, which could happen easily on Monday, Tuesday, I don't even know, the next trading days, let's say, you're taking out, or you're testing at least the horizontal and the descending, and a close above that will squeeze us. Now, $7, you know what, I'm going to delete it. Don't even think that's a level. So look at that. We're closing above this very soon, and when we do, up we go. Looks very good. Yeah, $8 maybe above. I think this horizontal line is the next real clear resistance on a largest time frame. So I think K92 looks very, very good. All right, SBSW. I think this deserves a weekly. Look at this. First week where you close above the descending. And, you know, palladium, platinum look very good. Should I show you those real quick? Okay, hello red day, but look at that. Total breakout. Look at that huge weekly candle. Total breakout. And this is coming from the depths of March 2020. You know, the No, it's way below the Corona days. It's ridiculous. Palladium, platinum, sorry, look at that. That's been, bouncing along quite stable. That'll probably go all the way back up to test its descending. So these charts look good. And SBSW, it's hard to find a better chart. I mean, that chart is just so nice on the weekly. And yeah, I see it going all the way up to $8. Really, there are little resistance points on the way, maybe 7 actually, but nothing really strong until $8. And even there. So look at this. I was buying this zone here. I thought I was a bit late. I mean, I was looking at it here. That's what annoyed me. But I knew that if it was going to make its move, buying here was almost the same as buying the low down here. So I bought twice, I believe, here. And then look at this. Up we go. These are big moves, by the way. They look small on the chart. But if you're buying, middle of this range where you are now, it's 25% already. And that's just a starter. So huge moves for this one. So resistance, $8. Yes, there are other ones on the way. Probably every $1 increment, 7 you can see. So you can see 6 a little bit. Look, 6 with support here. 7 with support and resistance. At one point at least. 8, same thing, just a bit more obvious and over a larger time frame. That's why it deserved one line. And then I see nothing really at 9, but 10, big round number, that last high over here. And then maybe 11, yeah, $1 increments, but looks beautiful. On the way down, I guess the old low, $4. Although I actually a gap fill to 475 is your first bit. Maybe a retest the descending, which would coincide with the lows from these candles here, 430, 440, and then the absolute low of 4. And if it flushes 4, the absolute low from 350, etc., etc. So looks great. Okay, now I cover the subscriber videos, subscriber miners, EGO, which to be honest has been strong for a long time. It's just, and again, higher high, higher low from the last couple of candles. So it looks good. It was just subdued because of what happened in the DXY and gold and silver retracing. So the party is stalled, but otherwise it wants to close above 1350. I think that's still resistance. And then after that, you're at 1450, and this is still making big moves. And this is prime. This is prime to continue. It's very strong, very strong. Breaks out, holds it, retests. I mean, 1450, come back down again, and then okay, we still got strength. Up we go. 19 up here. 1920. Yeah, which is what, another 30% or something. So very good, very impressive. Or 25%. Very impressive. So next stop really this 1350 zone, then 1450, and then basically 1920. Very good. On the way down, well, I guess the old support. So let's say just under 12. If that gets taken out, this one counts anymore. I don't think so. I think it retested it, but just did so above. Yeah, so if it loses, let's say 1170, then we basically come back down to 1050, I would say. And if it loses 1050, there's no point in prophesizing too much. But then the old low of 850, and this won't count by then. I guess that's what you need to watch. So that's a very good stock. Hecla. Yeah, Hecla just needs to close above 520 to really run a bit more. But it's taken out as descending. It's holding quite well. It's just not allowed to run because the miners are not really running full steam right now. So let's close above 520. After that, 6 maybe 620 for some reason seems to be more of a resistance than 6. So you've got an entire dollar to run. That's nice. On the way down, if we start to close above these, sorry, below these two here, 480, then I think you go back down to 450. And if we lose 450, then okay, we're not going to go all the way down here, but let's say just below $4. That's what I see. Okay, B2 gold. It's just not that good, Look, we should be above these candles, given what we've been doing in the miners and everyone else is making higher highs and all this, Let's pick any of them. Okay, not EXK. I mean, pick any of them, and then you look at B2 Gold, like, you have a disadvantage already. It's biased to the downside. On the downside, okay, I would say immediate term 315, mini support, just because it's the low of all these candles here, these higher lows. But once you're below 314 and closing below, then basically $3. $3 is really the first real area of support. It's just that's almost 10% away. So I don't think we'll get there in one go. I think 315, then 3, and after that, 280 on the way up. I mean, the high of Friday, let's see if we can take that out. But really, it's just up here, just below 350. And after that, yeah, up here, 380 on the descending. Yeah, I agree. There you go, guys. I try to use the weekly chart a bit more. I did forget to whilst I was going through some of them. But I think it's quite useful sometimes. And I try to cover all your requests. SILJ is a new one, right? The silver miners. So write down the miners you want me to follow or cover or both. And I hope you found that useful. And let's see what happens before the New Year's. I do think things are going to start picking up. And I think when gold and silver when gold starts to be above 2100 and starts to run, I think silver's just going to have to do a lot of catching up. And I think we are going to see some huge days in in the silver miners, in the gold miners, and in certain stocks. And it's going to be a beautiful thing. And I think that's when it's going to start. It's going to be worth looking at which mines to sell to enter others. It'll be that sort of, getting very, very precise about it. I like that. I like detail. Anyway, enjoy Christmas, of course, and good luck to all of us next week.